Hey, future Dan here. Literally, as this video was rendering, getting ready to upload, Fox News put up an article that actually speaks to the points that I'm trying to make in this video. So I was definitely on to something here with the topics that I went into. So I'm going to take that article, I'm going to pin it in the comments below, take a look at the video, please, because I need you to do that. And then afterwards, go take a look at that article on Fox News, because again, it kind of supports my thesis here, in my opinion. Enjoy the video. Well, here we are again, another mass shooting in the United States, this one in Highland Park, Illinois, 4th of July parade. 6 are deceased at the time of recording, with more than 30 injured. I believe that's the current stats as we have them. The suspected, alleged, whatever you want to call it, shooter is in custody. And once again, the interwebs are afire with calls for gun regulation yet again. Now, remember that this shooting took place in an area of the country that has some of the tightest regulations, and yet this still happened. It just comes down to the fact that if there is hate in your heart, you will find a way. So in this video, I want to talk about family, okay? Because in my humble opinion, we don't have a gun problem in this country as much as we have a family problem, a people problem. So I'm going to dig into the statements of the shooter's uncle and what he had to say. And then I want to analyze that. Now, this is going to be a different video from what you'll probably see from other people, so I encourage you to watch it through to the end. Listen to what I have to say here. And if you disagree with me, then let's talk about it in the comments. But I think we have to look at this. You can continue to blame the tool involved in the violence, but that tool does nothing unless it's in the hands of a person that wants to commit said violence. It's just the way that it is. We have to look at this. Now, I will say before we dig into this uncle's statements that he seems in his statement, and I'm going to play 3/4 of the video, he seems very, very sad about what happened. He seems devastated, and I have no doubt that he is. And I don't think the uncle is a bad guy, and I feel for him. It sucks. His family, if this shooter did it, we have to throw in the allegedlys, but if this guy did this, his family is tarnished forever. And I had read that the alleged shooter's father actually ran for mayor in Highland Park. So these aren't people that are unknown in the community. They've got a name there from the looks of things. So this is a big deal. But we have to take a dispassionate look at what's going on in families right now. And in his statements, I found some things that we should talk about. And again, this isn't me trying to rag on this guy. We need to step back from the emotions of, I feel bad for this guy, and I hate the shooter, and I hate the gun, and I hate all these things, and look at what's really going on. So let's do that. In case you haven't run across me before, I'm Dan. This is the Soule of Wisdom. Please do like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. All right. Let us dig in, shall we? We're going to start at the 1 minute mark. The first minute is basically him apologizing, which we don't need to show here. But again, I have no doubt that this guy's devastated. So don't take this as me trying to beat the man down. But we do need to learn. So let's start learning. Here we go.
All this.
Tell us about your nephew, Bobby the Third. Have there been any signs of trouble, any warning signs recently?
There's been no warning signs. As I saw him yesterday evening, and when I went home, I said hi to him. And then when I came back downstairs, I said bye. He said bye, and that was it. That was normal standards of all time. And I see nothing that would trigger him up for doing this at all.
Had he ever said anything to you, or said anything to a family member that might have concerned people?
No. There's no concerns that I've seen at all.
And the weapon, do you have any idea?
Okay, so he says there's no concerns at all. All right, let's keep that in mind as we go through some of the things here. He's saying there were no signs, there were no concerns, there were no anything. Now, you could say that maybe he's just in the midst of this, he's not thinking things through and stuff, and that could very well be. But again, we need to try to learn from this. So let's just remember those statements that there were, quote, no signs, okay? Because we're going to expound upon that here shortly.
Idea where he acquired the weapon?
I'm not sure. No.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
I'm not really involved with him. Like, I mean, we're like, we just say hi and bye, and that's it.
You
I
guys
don't.
were living in the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
home.
We live together. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
explain that arrangement. It was your dad's home, right?
Yeah, yes,
At one
yes,
time.
yes.
Your dad passed away, and then you, your brother, and Bobby the third were living there.
Yes.
And
And he has his own apartment in the back, and I have my own upstairs bedroom, and it was separate the whole time.
Yeah.
So I seldom see him at times. But when I do see him, I mean, he's actually, I mean, he has helped me around the house at times, and there was no signs of trouble. I saw no signs of trouble, and if I did see signs, I would have said something, but there was no signs of trouble.
What was it?
Okay, so he's saying there that they seldom interacted beyond highs and buys, occasionally, but not often, but yet they live in the same house. So let's keep that in mind as well. All right, we have two grown men sharing a space, and there's a third one in there too, but the interactions seem to be low. And again, he's reiterated, I saw no signs. So let's continue.
What was he doing with his life? He was 22. Was he going to school? Was he working?
I think he was out of he didn't go to college, and he was like a YouTube rapper that I know, but I never even preview his videos at all.
Yeah.
I just know.
He's a YouTube rapper, but I never watched his stuff. Okay. So again, as I said before, we're under the same roof, but we're seldom interacting, right? So again, keep that in mind.
Know that he's on YouTube.
So he was trying to do rapping and
Yeah, he's a
as
rapper,
job.
and then he was also an artist. He was a good artist a while back.
Was he professional? Was he getting paid for it? Or
No.
was he working?
He drew good.
Did he have a job
At Panera Bread, he worked from maybe 2 years ago.
a couple of years
Yeah,
ago?
yeah,
But
a
he'd
couple years
been unemployed.
Right.
basically.
Hasn't had a job in 2 years. So again, we're rapping on YouTube, but I don't know about it. And he worked at Panera Bread 2 years ago and hasn't had a job since. Again, remember, there's no signs of trouble here. So he says. Let's continue.
And no mental problems or psychological problems in the past?
Not that I know of, no. He's a real quiet kid. He keeps everything to himself, and he doesn't express himself out. So he just like sits down on his computer, and there's no like, interaction between me and him.
Quiet kid, doesn't express himself, sits behind his computer. There's no interaction between me and him. Okay, again, we're stacking statements here. So let's continue.
And having known him your entire life and learning this horrible event, what do you think? What goes through your mind?
I can't even believe it. It seems like it's a dream, and I can't even imagine about it. I can't even. I'm heartbroken. I mean, I'm deeply heartbroken, and I'll be heartbroken for the rest of my life. And seeing what happened, it just breaks my heart. And I just want to tell every.
All right, we can stop it there because again, he's going into his apologies and the fact that he's heartbroken. And again, I have no doubt. I don't doubt the sincerity of his feelings right there. But again, let's step back and take a dispassionate view of things. Okay? Couple of things. So, he's a rapper, but we never watched his rap. On your screen, if you're visually gifted watching on YouTube or Rumble, you can take a look. If you're on the podcast side, I'll describe this. This is an image. This is courtesy of Fox News. This is an image from the alleged shooter's video, Are You Awake? One of his rap videos. And you can see he's done a drawing of a dude with a rifle, and he's aiming at somebody with their hands up, and then there's another one who's down on the floor who presumably has been shot. And then there's another thing here. This is him on his bed. There's a newspaper article on the wall behind him that looks like it was Oswald. It's blurry, but it looks like it was a Oswald headline. And then here's another image that was drawn, again, from his video on YouTube, where you can see somebody has been shot, and there is drawn blood that is kind of spurting out. But again, no signs. On your screen now, you will see the shooter's mugshot. You will see a tattoo below his right eye, several like tick marks, looks like 5 maybe. It's covered by his hair currently, but above his left eyebrow, there is something written in cursive. You can see his neck is all tatted up with leaves and flowers and stuff like that. Well, Dan, what does tattoos have to do with anything? All right, let's dig into this. The uncle is arguing that there was no signs here. There's nothing that he could look back and go, this clearly says that there's something going on. That's his argument. Okay, but this is evidence to me of a family that isn't well enough connected, that isn't understanding each other, that isn't looking out for each other. They're all going and doing their own things. This is how problems happen. You have to be connected as a family. If you have a young man who is sitting in your home, who hasn't had a job in 2 years, who lives behind his computer, who doesn't say anything to anybody, who, I'm sorry, you can call me old-fashioned, but I believe that how you treat yourself, how you view yourself, how you look at yourself is often a sign of how you will treat others and how you'll view others. He's thinking so little of himself and his personal appearance that he's tatting up his face, which will limit him. It will limit him in what he can do in the future as far as employment goes. Now, we can argue, well, that's not really the case. Times are changing. He's never going to get a high-end job with a face that's all marked up. I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. That's not a lawyer right there. That's not a future executive. It's just not. So he's thinking so little of himself that he's taking away his future opportunities. He's changing what people see every day, because the first thing you look at in most cases is somebody's face. That's the first thing you see. Well, that's all marked up. So I got all these things going on. And then you have an uncle that's saying, well, there were just no signs. Yes, there were. And the first sign is you're all so disconnected from each other that you're not communicating. You've got the uncle going in one direction, the father going in another direction. I think I read he owned a deli or something. And then you've got the son who hasn't worked in 2 years, who's buried behind his computer, who's gone quiet, doesn't speak. He's not taking care of himself. He's not thinking about his future. But at some point, I'm sorry, at some point you have to raise your hand as a family and go, hey, what's going on with the young one over there? Maybe we should engage him. The signs were all there. But you're so buried in whatever it is that you're doing. He even said in his thing that they walk by each other. Well, I don't really know what he's doing. Well, I've never watched his videos. Well, why? You share a home. That's your brother's son. All 3 of you are there. How can there not be some better understanding of what's going on? Either you didn't think it had to be that way, or you're lying to us. I'm going to assume he just felt that it didn't need to be that way, that they didn't have to interact. But this says what's going on in our society. Our families are so buried in what's going on at an individual level that we're not coming together at a family level. When you come together at a family level, that's where the magic happens. That's where you can learn about each other and talk to each other. That's where you can find out if there are things that just aren't right. They'll begin to come to the surface and you can deal with them and you can talk things through. That is where things like morals and ethics and standards come about. If he's buried behind his computer all the time and you're barely having any interaction, then how would you expect this young man to truly grasp what's right and wrong in the world? He's going to base it on what he's finding online. Now, I will raise my hand and say that we have a child that spends a fair amount of his time behind a computer, and a lot of that is because of the fact that we homeschool him. So a lot of it is done through online materials that we give him. I spend a lot of time behind a computer through our various businesses and, making YouTube videos. So the computer itself isn't evil, but at the end of the day, we always come together and we spend time together where we talk, we interact, we do things, because that has to happen. If you're passing each other in the night, saying hi, bye, and that's it, then you get stuff like this. Now, there is no amount of taking away weapons that fixes this problem. They tried it. All right, they tried it in Australia. There was a mass shooting there back in the 90s, and they pulled the guns away from everybody. It's very hard to get a firearm down there now. They're not around. Well, some interesting things happened. I did a Facebook write-up on this on my personal page years ago, and at some point soon I'm going to turn that into a YouTube video because there's still stuff to learn from it. But what I found in my research was that the amount of murders in Australia only went down by 2 per 100,000. So it went down, but barely. And rapes went through the roof. So you barely made a dent in deaths, and women who presumably would have a harder time defending themselves started getting raped more and more. But you didn't do anything down there to address family, to address what kind of people are we making. And I got pushback on that thing that I did on Facebook, where I had a person who was telling me, well, that takes too long, and we have to do something, so we should take away the guns. That's great, except, yeah, it's going to take a while, because it's pretty axiomatic to say that it's easier to destroy than to create. We destroyed the concept of family and of taking care of each other and of raising good people very quickly. And it's going to take a couple of generations to put it back. There's not going to be a shortcut to it. Taking away weapons, making it harder to get them, whatever, isn't going to fix the underlying root cause of things. And that's the fact that we're not building good enough people. And that's a family problem. And in this case, in looking at the evidence that I have from the uncle's statement, it seems like this is a family that shared a roof, but did not share their lives. That's how this happens. You miss the signs because you're not even looking for them. You're not taking the time to take this young man and show him what's right and wrong, at least not enough. If you're telling me that you're passing in the night and you're not noticing any of this, I'm sorry, that's a family issue. Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask you now what you think on this. Is it really a gun thing? Or is it a larger issue of family and of the kind of people that we're making and the fact that we're not taking the time with each other to learn what's going on, to interact, to build those bonds, those things that we need to be decent human beings? Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd really like to know. I think this is the bigger issue. If I'm right, let me know. If I'm wrong, let me know. Either way, I just ask that you be respectful. That is all I need. So, Give me those thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Like I said earlier, if you've not done so with this channel, please do like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. I would appreciate it. Until the next time I see you, thank you for watching.